Hello again, and as last time, I apologize for the settings. It's really, really damn hard to get a moment of silence in that place. And while I was a little upset, now that I can see myself in the camera here, I actually think it looks pretty cool. I'm in the same place I was last time, but, it's really dark, because it's, like 8 o'clock at night. And, I don't know, I think it kind of helps the mood, especially considering it's my work. And I don't really write stuff that's all happy and bubbly, so... today, or tonight, or whenever the hell you're listening to this, hopefully you'll be reading at some point, but also, if you hear that creaking noise, I am in the car, and I didn't want to have the heat blasting, so I did bring my trusty awesome leather coat. It's super cool, but, it's dark, and it's black, so you can't really see it. Anyways, though, tonight I will be reading from another one of my pieces. This one's actually, it's finished, and hopefully it is already up on the Facebook fiction site. I should be putting it up on the Patreon relatively shortly, within the next few days. Tonight, if I actually get off my ass and do it, because, it's so hard to upload something to the internet. I know, I'm lazy. Anyways, this is from the first half of the only novel I've written so far. The novel is called The End. The first half of it is written in journal format and is inventively called Journal of the End. The second part is called After the End and is not in journal format. So here is an excerpt. Not a hugely long one, but long enough. An excerpt from Journal of the End. I hope you enjoy. Day 11, Tuesday, April 2nd, 2014, and Day 12, Wednesday, April 3rd, 2014. We started out that night, heading east. I kept looking down, and I totally just hit the wrong button. That was awesome. I'm going to restart now. I'm not even going to edit it. Screw it. It's fun to see the screw-ups. Restarting, and this time, hitting the correct button. It's dark. I can't see the keyboard that well. That's my excuse. That's what I'm going with. Starting again. Day 11, Tuesday, April 2nd, 2014, and Day 12, Wednesday, April 3rd, 2014. We started out that night heading east. I kept looking down and patting him on the head, still not fully believing that I had him back with me. I can't count the number of times I expected to wake up being made into a meal by Z's because I'd finally just lost it, devolved in my own fantasy world while being eaten. Every time, though, I'd be right where I was, next to my dog, walking to find Zoe. I missed her embrace. I love her, and that's more clear to me now than it had been before, if that was even possible. I just hope when I reached Cherry Hill that she was there and alive. She had a good head on her shoulders, though, and I couldn't help but think that'd be enough. She had a better one than mine, and I'd made it this far, so she still had to be alive. I won't bore you with the details of that Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning before we slept. It was a lot of walking, a lot of me stopping to play with Buck, and a lot of contemplating. Hours were spent inside my head instead of on the road. Thank God I can multitask enough to walk and think. I worried about Zoe endlessly and wondered what she was doing. I wished my phone wasn't dead so I could pull up a picture of her. We slept that Wednesday outside. It was risky, far riskier than I'd have liked, but there was no shelter, and after the past couple of days I needed a good rest. Figured Buck would keep an eye out, and his sense of smell and hearing were a hell of a lot better than mine. I hoped if he heard, saw, smelled anything coming, he'd wake me up. And since I'm writing this, I woke up that night and was in one piece. So we kept walking. It was that Wednesday night, though, or maybe it was early Thursday morning. I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, we stumbled upon something. I stumbled. Buck knew exactly what or who was there. We were approaching a small town. I think the name of it was Gainesville, something like that. I figured we could make a quick run in, see if there's anything worth taking from the houses, and get out with relatively few problems. As we were approaching the outskirts, Buck took off running into an area of heavy undergrowth, some bushes, etc. His tail was wagging heavily. I yelled at him to get back to me, but he didn't listen. Why was I happy to have him back again? That's when a voice came from the undergrowth. "Smart dog, get your hands up." I stopped, slowly put them about even with my shoulders, palms pointed out towards the bushes. "Who are you?" Suddenly, from a few different places around me, there were men. All were wearing fatigues with some face paint to varying degrees, and all had assault rifles trained on me. I remember my exact thought at that moment. The fuck? They looked back and forth, and I lost my place. They looked back and forth between them all, and finally one approached me. "Move and you die. Got it?" I nodded, and the man removed my sword, the guns, and my pack. I remember thinking how great it was that our nation's armed forces had been reduced to robbing civilians. The guy who Buck had run to, and was still next to, I might add, spoke up. "Sanders, take him back to Tullen. We should be okay heading to town without you." The guy who took my equipment must be Sanders, and suddenly I wanted to ask him if he liked chicken. Nodded and told me to move ahead of him, directing me where to go. Buck strolled along next to us. Sure, now he had my back. Really, why was I glad to have him back? The trip only took a few minutes and took us to what I think was north of where we were when we came upon another group of soldiers. At that point, I wasn't 100% sure they were in fact soldiers, but spoiler alert, they were. There were 5 of these guys, one of whom called out once we were relatively close. "Day!" Sanders replied, "Damn it, Juarez, cut the bullshit, you know it's me." "Look, man, Sarge says we have to do the sign-countersign thing. I tell you what, when the dead learn to talk, then I'll do it." Most of the group kept watch in different directions, and once we passed by Juarez, we got to the middle of a small group, and I was presented to the guy who I rightly guessed was Sergeant Tullen. "Sanders, what have you got there?" "Civilian, sir, was well armed." Tossed my gear onto the ground near Tullen. "Was apparently heading into town." "Well done. Head back out there and keep Davis and the others company. Not expecting much trouble in there, but just in case, they'll need you." Sanders saluted. "Sir!" and then took off in the direction we'd come from. Tullen walked up to me. He wasn't as big as I'd expect an army guy to be, just around 5'7", maybe 5'8". He looked maybe in his early 30s, but it was hard to tell at night. He extended his hand. "Sergeant Tullen." I took it and shook. "Michael, and this is Buck. Nice to meet you. Mind telling me what the hell you're doing out here?" "Long story. I got time. We got a bit before the other team gets back. Have a seat. Fill me in." I took a seat on the ground next to him, idly petting Buck while filling Tullen in. I told him about the starting out in Whitefield, and then the trek, and the bit about the psycho kids in the city. Though I left out the part about me shooting Rebecca in the head, and told him where I was going and why. Been through quite a bit, but I doubt we run into anyone these days who hasn't been. So tell me what you've seen of these things, the zombies. I just call them Z's for short, personally, but they started off like most of what you see in the movies. Slowly moving, pretty stupid, but they run fast when they see food. So far, I haven't seen them go after anything that isn't human, though. Started off, too, they couldn't do much other than walk, run, and eat, but I've seen them climb stairs. One climbed over a fence, and, I don't like admitting this, but at least one of them could open a door. It just pulled open. I know it's not much, but it bothers me to say the least. The damn things just seem to have a bit of intelligence. The one that climbed the fence put its hands up to block the sword coming down on it. He nodded and thought a bit before responding. "We've noticed a change in how they operate as well. They've been using more pack animal tactics instead of just mobbing up like they started off doing. Makes them a bit easier for us to pick off, actually. We had to avoid numerous initial confrontations because of their numbers. It was too much for us to handle. We've engaged them in smaller numbers, though, and it seems the classics were somewhat right. You have to hit them in the head for it to matter much. Granted, if you take out a leg, they lose some effectiveness, but unless you hollow out their chest enough for the body to collapse in on itself, avoid hitting the torso. It seems to just piss them off more than anything else." "So you're heading to New Jersey?" "We're moving east ourselves, trying to get to the coast. That's the last place we got a transmission from." I perked up. "You mind if I tag along? I swear I won't get in the way, and I could use the protection." He shook his head. "Look, son, I know we're the military, but right now there is no United States. I can spout stuff about duty all I want. We're not bandits or rapists or thieves or anything like that. But we're not exactly soldiers anymore. Sure, we got the uniforms and the weapons and the tactics, but at this point that just means we're better survivors than most. Once the government pretty much fell apart, well, we didn't really have any orders anymore other than the order of Mother Nature. Survive. You'd slow us down, and I'm sure you've made it this far and you'll do fine on your own. Bottom line is, kid, we just can't use you." I stared at him for a moment. I knew he was right, and that was the tough part. If I was him, I'd do the same damn thing. I'd kick me to the curb as well. Then I had a brilliant moment of inspiration. "Sergeant, can I ask a question?" "Sure." "Are any of your men trained as medics?" "Well, we've all had some basic first aid training, but no, none of us are real doctors." "I am." He glared at me. If you're putting me on just to tag along... I'm not! I was going to school at Rowan to get my medical degree, and I was almost done with the pure classroom aspect. I don't have much real-world experience yet, but theoretically speaking, I know 10 times as much as many of you, and I'm a fast learner. You guys have, have to have better first aid stuff than I do, and with you all, I'm sure we can get our hands on even better medical supplies. Bottom line is, Sergeant, I'm probably the closest thing to a doctor that's alive within a few 100-mile radius. Plus, Buck can make a good addition to the watch. He thought about it for several minutes before answering. You get in the way, you put any of my men in danger, and I shoot you. Got it? I smiled. Yes, sir. Alright, other than the, general fuck-ups that I did, sorry. Even though it's my own work, and I read through it once before I read it here, I still, you read, your mind screws up a few things. It's not a big deal. And I've been told that it's more fun to watch me and hear me read that particular one than others, so I went with it. But yes, that is an excerpt from the first half of the novel, The End. That's from Journal of the End, the first half of it. If you want to read that and the other half, which is entitled After the End, so the whole thing together, The End, zombie apocalypse, kind of The End, you can check out the links at the bottom. Facebook Fiction is where it's up right now currently for free, and it should be up on Patreon within a couple of days of me posting this video, again, for free. Although on Patreon I have it set up, you can donate more if you would like, and it would be greatly appreciated. Currently, though, I have it set to the standard donation is $1 for every 10,000 words that I write. Currently, even if I put up absolutely everything that I have written, finished or unfinished, that'd still be under $25 for you. So right now, you can get an entire novel that I will be posting up for like $6-7. I mean, that's pretty good. Yeah, you won't have the hardcover or paperback in your hands. You won't be able to flip through it and feel it. And I enjoy that as much as anyone else. That is like one of the main reasons to have books. You'll still own it. You'll own it regardless. You can download it right now in RTF or PDF formats from the Facebook Fiction. I'm not sure which format I'm going to put it up on Patreon, but you can own it for free. You're not buying it from me. You're just paying me for my services after you've already got the services. It's a pretty good deal. I mean, seriously, interesting, fun, weird fiction, basically for free, and you're just kind of giving what you can. And the more I get paid, the more I get reinforced, the more I will write. So if you like my stuff and you give me money for it, the more likely I will be to write even more of what you like. It's an awesome, a never-ending cycle until I die. Someday, possibly in the near or very far future. I don't know, we'll see. But, yeah. Also, the next video I put up will be an excerpt from After the End. I'm actually going to probably shoot that shortly, so if the setting looks really eerily familiar, you'll know why. But, as usual, check out the links under the video. Post a comment whether you like it or not. Just, if you don't like it, be critical, but don't be an ass. You can just say, hey, I didn't like it, it wasn't for me. That's fine, but if you're like, you can't fucking write for shit, I hate you, I mean, that's fine too, but you're just kind of being a dick. If you liked it, definitely leave a comment, definitely like it, definitely subscribe. Post this shit up on Facebook, wherever, post it on your own YouTube channel, throw something up on Twitter, whatever. I am a promotional whore at the moment, so, hey, get me out there, please. I'm not, starving to death or anything, but, this would be amazing if I could kind of write for a living, so to speak. So, whatever you can do, it's much appreciated. If you can't do anything, then hey, if you like it, tell me what you like about it, and maybe I'll try to fit more of what you like into other stories I write. I'm not going to write specifically for my audience, but if I can throw in a few things you guys really like, I will do it. As long as I do not have to sacrifice the integrity of the story, I will throw in fun stuff. In the very beginning of the second part of the novel, it is set in New York City, and the main mode of transportation between the survivors in New York City are bicycles, because one of my close friends mentioned to me he never understood why they never used bicycles in zombie apocalypse movies, because they're silent for the most part. You can go really basically the energy output is really low compared to how far you can get, And I was like, oh my god, that is a brilliant idea. I will put that in one of my stories. That's perfect. And I did. So, suggestions, critiques, praise, whatever. Undying devotion, I'll take that too. Also, other quick thing. This is actually a hand-me-down. I'm not a huge Superman fan. Sorry if you are. If you are, there's nothing against you. He's just kind of an uninteresting character to me. I'm kind of a Batman guy. Go figure. Anyways, thanks for watching, and please, again, check out the links at the bottom. Facebook Fiction or Patreon, either of them. Please, 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 please.